Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern. Join me as I invite experts and friends to discuss a range of topics, from the factual and practical to the mystical and magical. Consider this your virtual happy hour filled with lively, authentic, and meaningful conversations meant to inform, inspire, and ignite your curiosity. Whether you are very real or super woo, this podcast is just for you. Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and it's been a little bit of a minute. A lot of you know, maybe most of you know, I've been taking some time off this summer to edit my first book and take some time off in summer as I normally do. But today is a pretty big day astrologically. Now, I'm not an astrologer. I have a lot of friends who are, and I have trusted astrologers and people who channel from spirit. So call them channelers, mediums, psychics. Yes, and of which I am one, right? Because I also have my own intuition and I apply it and use it in all the ways that I can and do for the work that I do with individuals and myself and groups. But I was teaching a yoga class today, and it's a Monday, and I wanted to make this more of a mindfulness Monday. It's probably going to ramble because there's a lot of energy. Today is actually, I think it started yesterday, but today is July 20th, and we are in this energy. If you've been online at all, you might have been hearing about something called Barbault's basket. Not Barbault like Adrienne Barbault, but Barbault like salt. And who is Barbault? He was a man who basically predicted COVID. And he also predicted the period of time we're in now, which is, if you can imagine, 4 giant gears on a clock. These aren't even fast-moving gears that mark the seconds or the minutes. They're slow, powerful gears that move so gradually you barely notice them, yet over time, these gears shape the entire clock. And in astrology, there are slow-moving planets, and this is why I'm bringing this up. So the slowest moving planets are Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And they represent, each of them in their own way, larger cycles of humanity rather than like day-to-day experiences of our individual lives. Most of the time, these planets are scattered throughout the zodiac, but every so often they line up in a very unusual way. And today is that day. All 4 of these planets reach 4 degrees of their respective signs at nearly the same time. And if you want to think of it this way, you can think of it like 4 runners on 4 different roads, or 4 cars driving on 4 different roads, all arriving at the 4-mile marker at the same time. They're not necessarily standing together, but they've each reached the same point in their own journey. And so astrologically speaking, that's a moment of really incredible synchronization, right? So you've got 4 big, slow-moving planets, each sitting at 4 degrees of their zodiac sign at the same time. And when you draw out where these planets are, it basically makes this basket, which is why it's called Barbault's basket. He was a French astrologer. He spent much of his life studying long-term planetary cycles and how they seem to correspond with major turning points in our history. And there's quite a few of them, a lot of them. If you go back and look on your own, he really hit the mark on a lot of things. So he wasn't interested necessarily in predicting what would happen to one person on any particular day, but he looked at the bigger picture. So he studied civilizations, global events, periods of profound change, and he observed when these slow-moving planetary cycles formed, certain rare patterns of humanity often entered a new chapter. So the reason he's being mentioned so much right now is what I already said, that he pretty much identified the period of time where we would be encountering COVID. So that doesn't mean astrology caused COVID or that astrology can predict everything with certainty, but rather he believed that these rare planetary cycles reflect periods when humanity would experience significant transformation. Now, not only today, but this entire year of the fire horse, if you've been following me enough, reading my Substack, listening to podcasts, 2025 was a 9 year. That was the we collective. And 2026 is a 1 year, which is all about the you, the me, the I, not in a selfish way, but we moved from taking care of collective energy to now taking care of ourselves. And I'm excited about this year also because we go from 0 to 9, one starts a whole new 9 year cycle. And for women, especially in the work that I do, helping women understand themselves from the inside out, and men, but mostly women, because I am one and I really do teach from what I know. But I have wonderful men in my life and I know them too. But the deal is, we are moving from that we period into the I, the me. And we can't do that unless we understand ourselves. And especially, this energy also corresponds to the age of Aquarius, which invites us to move from all of the head thinking, male paradigm models of leadership and management to the divine feminine model of heart based leadership and management. And we can see already, even without this basket arriving, things are already starting to reveal their inefficiencies, their bad habits of ways of doing business, perhaps that isn't so honest or working so well. And a lot of that has to do with relying on head versus heart leadership. Now, when we're moving from heart based leadership, the heart is the bridge of our whole entire chakra system. Is the bridge open or is the bridge closed? Okay. Did you even know that you have a bridge? Well, you do, whether you know you do or not. And those of you who are uninitiated in the chakra system, that is why for you people, I call them our internal instructions, because they are. We do, in fact, come with instructions, which is also why my workshops uses the title, We Do Come with Instructions. It is trademarked, by the way, because we do. So, if we don't understand how our wheels work, if we don't understand the programming we're already running, what triggers us, where did these stories come from? That's one thing. Then it's another thing to say, okay, I get it, Larry. I know I'm kind of running someone else's programming, but I don't know the first thing about how to rewrite it. Okay. That is the work I do. I help you identify your habits and your patterns, connect with the stories you've been telling yourself or were put upon you by your family, your upbringing, your community, your friends, whatever it is, and then decide and discern for yourself, is that working? Are those things working for you? Or are they holding you back from embracing, experiencing, and navigating through this period of time we're in? So when I say the word astrology, some of you are like, oh, there she goes. It's too woo-woo already. Okay, but guess what? The world is still spinning. The stars are still aligning. The planets are still doing their energetic work on us and for us, whether we understand that's happening or not. So it would be like riding a horse without holding on to the reins. The horse is going to go, right? But if you grab the reins, you're going to be able to guide the horse a little bit better. It won't be as scary. You'll be more in control. So that's what I'm inviting you to consider, is these woo-woo things like astrology or planetary alignments, whether you know you're being guided by them or not, you are. And so taking a little ownership and responsibility and curiosity about how to work with this energy is what I'm hoping to do today while I'm rambling. Like I said, it's been a while. So, okay, I made some notes. Astrologers beyond just this guy, Barbault, have been watching what's happening in 2026 for years, right? Because of all the things I already mentioned, moving into the Age of Aquarius and all these other planetary things that are creating all of this energy. So, what's happening is a turning point, a doorway, if you want to look at it that way, or a symbolic marker in our history. And you can also think about this as when you want to renovate your house. Okay. So, you want to make the house better, but in order to do that, you have to like completely tear out walls, right? Or rearrange rooms. And even before that, you have to clear out your clutter, put things away, put them in storage, sell them, whatever it is, make space for change. Make space for renovation. And those of you who've ever renovated a house like I have, you do encounter shit, right? You open up a wall, you're like, oh, fuck, there's a pipe there. Or actually, there's a soffit. You can't make the ceiling go 12 feet. You have to drop it down at least here because there's this soffit or this, HVAC system, or the wiring's old. So you open up a wall and you want to put in a new light socket. Well, now you can't because you have to update the entire electrical grid in your house and, in fact, get another circuit breaker box like we had to do just to handle all the things that we did. Um, Old houses have old problems. Old houses of our bodies, no matter what age we are, contain old problems. Those problems are old stories, old programs, old systems that are implanted into us at birth and rewritten and adjusted for us as we grow. And we are meant to open our eyes wide, unzip the meat suit, take a look inside. What is behind our walls? What is running our programs? Is it faulty wiring? Is it lead pipes that need to be upgraded or updated? All this stuff. So the goal isn't destruction. It's not criticism. It's not degradation and self-judgment. It is just reconstruction. It is a new opportunity to innovate. Okay. And the goal is to also innovate and create something even stronger, better, more beautiful, more aligned, whatever it is, a smarter home, a smarter body. Okay. So that's where we are now in humanity in general. And we're there because it really feels like a shitstorm outside, right? If you're still watching the news, it doesn't have to take very long for you to witness whatever's going on. Okay. Pick a topic, there's probably something wrong. And so globally, we are questioning what we've relied on in terms of systems and models for generations without question, right? A lot of us just like things the way they are or have been. We don't want to tear down a wall or do any reconstruction or remodeling. We're pretty okay with how things are, even if things don't work so well or they're difficult or they're old or outdated. We'd prefer to stay there, and that's okay. If that's you, hey, you do you, boo boo. And for the rest of us, this discomfort is inspiring change. So we are experiencing changes in our government, our healthcare, the media, how we do business, our education, the economy, even our ideas about what success looks like, what work even looks like, right? Even 10 years ago, we never would have thought to do anything on Zoom or hybrid workplace, right? So things are changing for the better if we view them that way. And change is hard. Doesn't have to be viewed that way to experience. Change is just hard sometimes, especially if we're kind of stuck in the old ways of doing things out of fear that change is uncertain and unknown. So how you personally deal with uncertainty and the unknown is part of what I'm asking you to get in touch with as well, because it's all a choice. You can choose to stay in fear, or you can choose to kind of take a step out of it and have a little more faith over that fear. So, as we're re-examining a lot of what's going on outside of us, it also creates an opportunity to examine what goes on inside of us. And some systems do survive on their own as they are, and some systems don't, right? Some systems do survive with their new ways of doing business or operating, and some don't. We just have to try. So, technology is one of those things that's really churning people up. It's creating a lot of excitement. It's creating a lot of fear. AI, right, is advancing faster than most of us imagined could be possible. And some people are seeing AI and immediately thinking of it as something negative. It's going to take my job away. It's going to take this away, that away, blah, blah, blah. It could be true. It could be definitely replacing some jobs. It can't replace our feelings yet. That it can't replace the way we alchemize our life experience to create more aligned experiences for ourselves. And so it's not to say, is AI good or bad? The deeper question is whether we will use these new tools like AI consciously or allow them to shape us unconsciously. So again, it's either you're going to get on the horse and close your eyes and be taken wherever you're going to go without your empowerment, or you're going to get on that horse, take the reins, and guide it. Okay. So it's important to note that not all astrologers, however, describe this period in the exact same way. So Barbault focused on planetary cycles and historical patterns. The idea that humanity is shifting from 3D to 5D consciousness comes from more modern spiritual teachers and astrologers. And even though those are kind of different frameworks, um, I think they're describing a lot of the same things, right? So 3D is very what you can see. It is solid, the four walls of a house. You're dug in to your 3D reality. And yet, when you consider other perspectives, other realities, other dimensions, that's like, okay, we've got this solid base of this foundation. And now, how can we decorate it? How can we elevate it in ways you haven't even imagined yet, but you're open to it? Okay. That is lifting you right away from this rigid stagnation of 3D reality to a more expansive, exciting, enlightened way of doing business and thinking and being in a higher elevation, a higher vibration and reality. So, this is where I know and believe that the chakra system gives us everything we need to navigate this time we're in, that astrology may or may not, right? So, again, whether you tap into astrology, you can tap into your own body. I've said this before too. Our bodies are our best barometers of truth that we have. So, if you just pause for a moment, because I've been talking a lot and probably too fast, and just up to now, are you able to breathe with me? Are you still kind of churned up with the information I've described? Has anything I've said to you already put you in a box of negativity about yourself or where you think the world might be going? Are you feeling fearful? Are you feeling kind of like, oh, yeah, I'm a little scared, but I'm I'm open to learning. I'm open to experiencing a little more than I might have considered. So hopefully that's where you're at. The chakra system does indeed give us a roadmap for how to guide, again, we're in the year of the fire horse, for how to guide our horses to where we'd like them to go. And in the work that I do, the biggest wheel, the most important one, I mean, they're all important, but the heart is the bridge. And I do have a podcast episode on the heart. I'll link it in the show notes. I also have a Substack about it. But the heart is the bridge between the lower chakras, the grounded chakras, and the upper chakras, the chakras of possibility, intuition, vision, dreaming, spirituality, how we communicate our vision and connect with what we cannot see. Also, in the other direction, how we connect with what we cannot see through our visions, explain that through our throat, feel how that feels through our heart, send it into our solar plexus where we have ownership and power, and then use our emotions and creativities in our sacral chakra to ground those things into our bodies. So it's one thing to stay in your head, right? Big dreams, big visions, those are great. But how do you apply them? How do you take action on them? You've got to bring them to ground. In that same way, if you're just stuck down low, you really can't move off your mark. You're stuck in your own mud, in your own way of doing business. And you're probably going to have a lot of difficulty lifting your energy up enough to even have dreams, to even consider other possibilities. And so that's what our body's designed to do. It's all directions, inside, outside, backwards, forwards, up, down, side to side, but all goes through the heart, right? That's the big wheel, right? The hub. It is like, O'Hare. Although, oh my God, what the fuck is happening in O'Hare? Anytime you get in there, you got to sit there and wait for the gate. You can't get out of the airport because there's a line of planes. I don't know what's happening, but it is a major hub, which is why O'Hare gets so backed up like any other major airport hub. But that's our heart space. It is the hub. It's the central area where all the information's coming into and all the information gets disseminated out, right, in all directions. I already explained, the heart drives information in both directions. And it takes confidence, it takes experience, it takes, again, that faith over fear to even admit you have a dream and then bring it up, explain it, discuss it, imagine it, and then again, bring it back down again to take action on it. So the idea too is like as you're navigating across your own bridge, what are you carrying across it? Old programs, old stories, old ways of doing business, fear, anger, whatever it is. If that's what you're carrying, that's what you're going to bring across your bridge. And if you carry fear, you're going to build from fear. If you carry resentment, you're going to ground in with more resentment, right? Because things go both ways. If you carry delusion, you create a life that feels very real, but is pretty delusional. So it goes on and on and on. What you carry across in either direction is what you're going to manifest or ground in either direction. Everything we carry becomes what we build as we're renovating our literal homes and our metaphorical homes. Well, actually, our bodies are our literal homes as well. So this brings me back to AI. Everybody wants to know, is AI the enemy? Well, I think that's the wrong question. This guy I just listened to today, his name is Brian Coulter, said something so beautifully. He said, technology is not the villain. Technology is not the villain. Unconsciousness is. So that one sentence changes everything. A hammer can build a home or destroy one. A fire can cook dinner or burn down a forest. AI is simply another tool. The real question is who's holding it and how do you feel about it? So calculators come to mind. When we were younger and calculators first came on the scene, everybody freaked out. Your teachers freaked out. Don't use those. You're going to waste your brain. You're cheating. You're never going to think for yourself again, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? Well, little by little, we are allowed to bring calculators into the classroom, right? And then the next big doubt happened. Well, you can use your calculator in the classroom, but you can't take it in to the testing center. That's cheating. You can't use your calculator for your test. You've got to rely on your noggin and, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? Well, then they allowed calculators into the testing center. Why? Because you still need to be smart enough to know what to input into the calculator. You still need to be smart enough to know what to input into AI. It's going to regurgitate what you put into it, okay? So it's going to do some work for you, but it's the input-output machine. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it, right? So it's just like I said, if you're putting fear into everything, you're going to get fear right back, okay? If you are thinking calculators are the devil or AI is the devil, then it's going to be your devil. It's not going to make you stop thinking. It's going to help you work smarter, not necessarily harder, but you still need to know how to use the device. It's not that this technology is the problem, it's learning to use it wisely could be the problem. So if you're dumb about it or close your eyes and push buttons, that's not going to get you the results that you want. So when we reject something solely because we're afraid of it, doesn't make the fear go away. And it doesn't mean that the technology is going to disappear. You're just going to be stuck in fear and left behind because you refuse to advance with advancing technology. But when we approach new things with a little more curiosity, discernment, groundedness, open-heartedness, open-mindedness, we always remain the ones making the choices. There are things that get put upon us. We have to pay our bills. we have to go to the store. I mean, or we have to choose what gets delivered. But you understand what I'm saying. It's like we think we are powerless way more often than we are actually powerless, right? And that all comes from your solar plexus, your seat of confidence, self worth, which also builds upon your root chakra, which is your sense of mattering. So, if you walk around in victimhood and feeling powerless, please reach out to me because I can help you boost your power center. I promise you. Um, in addition, just like I said, the input into our devices is what we get regurgitated out. It's the same way with the quality of our questions determines the quality of our lives. So again, this guy, Brian Coulter, asked another beautiful question. He said, what is the thing only you can say that took your particular life experience to know? So I'm going to repeat that because I kind of screwed it up. What is the thing only you can say that took your particular life experiences to know? And then this week, especially, think about what that is. What is the one thing you, as a sovereign being, as a unique soul, took your life so far that creates something only you know? And then take a next step. Use a tool in modern times right now, whether that's recording a YouTube video, starting a podcast, creating a blog, or just get out a journal on your own and journal for the first time, or have that honest conversation you've been waiting to have. Finally, what is it that you know that is your turn, because it is, and time, because it is, to get it out there? And inviting you to consider one of these newfangled ways of doing business through technology or a pen on paper to get it out, right? Someone out there needs your knowledge. Let me say that again. Somebody out there needs your knowledge. That only you can explain it how you can explain it. And I promise you, someone is going to benefit the minute you open your mouth, open your heart, open your mind, and communicate whatever that is. Okay? And if that brings you fear, that's okay. Do it anyway. You've got to get over whatever the fear is, even if you have to take baby steps to do it, right? So again, maybe it's just putting pen to paper. You don't have to open up a YouTube channel, but you can. Because what you put out there multiplies too. So if all we do is fear, 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 that's what we're going to do out there. So just remember that the law of manifestation really is co-creation. So everything's a two-way street, everything. And the input, the output, what you have inside, what you express outside, what affects you outside affects your insides. So how your lens or perspective is feeding into how you feel overall. Again, listen to what your body is telling you. Are you feeling good about it? In fear about it? Excited about it? And then what is going on inside your body comes out, right? So if you're in balance, if you're in fear, if you're in rage and anger, you lack your confidence, that's what you'll present outside. So I want you guys to imagine that this basket, you've got an opportunity to put low vibe eggs in it or high vibe eggs in it because the basket's here. It's whether you can see it or not, or believe it or not, it's here. So your choice and your decision is to consider what your eggs might be, however many of them there are, and really take a look at the ones that are maybe a little too low vibe now for you. They're spoiled, they're rotten, they've been in the fridge too long, whatever. Toss them out. Make room for new eggs that are higher vibrational, and keep the ones that are already in there that you know are good. They're going to make the best egg salad or the best omelet or frittata, whatever it's going to be. And just like I said, also, if you're considering the idea of uh, redesigning or doing reconstruction in your house, let's say you're pouring a whole new foundation, the period of time we're in right now is the concrete of the foundation is wet, right? So raise your hand if you've broken some rules maybe in your neighborhood and When the guys outside pour some new concrete in the sidewalk and you've got little babies, I don't know who I'm talking about, but let's just say you put your baby's feet in the concrete or their hands in the concrete, you make initials. Again, have no idea who I'm talking about, but you can pretty much guess what I'm going with. So what imprint, what are you going to put into that concrete before it sets? You have an opportunity right now to go run outside, put your hands in the cement and leave a mark, or turn inside. Put your hands in your new wet cement in the foundation that you're now rebuilding in yourself. And what are you going to imprint? This is your time to make those choices inside yourself and outside of yourself. So you've got lots of opportunities before you. You can choose to stay in fear, create division, seek control, really get fed and delighted by chaos, inspire anger in yourself and others for some reason, or you can do exactly the opposite. You can come from love and openness and curiosity and having comfort in the unknown. Takes practice for sure. And so, people often ask me, how do we create our own reality? And I really do believe it starts with our foundation. And that's probably no surprise that you're hearing me say that. Do we feel safe enough to even grow? Do we trust ourselves? Do we trust our intuition even when the world around us feels noisy and uncertain? Do we know ourselves well enough that we aren't constantly looking outside of ourselves for someone else to tell us what to think? Because let's face it, there is a lot of noise right now, and there's a lot of people who would like nothing more than to tell us what to think, what to do, how to behave, and who to believe. So for every person who believes the world is falling apart right now, there's another who believes it's finally becoming what it was always meant to. So it's glass half full, glass half empty. It's the piano, right? You can't make beautiful music unless you combine the white keys and the black keys. That's the only way you get beautiful music. So you can believe the world's falling apart, or you can believe the world is finally coming together. The choice is yours. And the difference is, how do we create our realities? We ground into ourselves and our security and our foundation, and then believe in our perspective. Be open to changing our minds and just keeping the windows and the doors open at our hearts and our minds, which doesn't mean to ignore reality. It just means expanding to include what is going on and make room for what else could be going on. So the door to your next era is open before you. You're going to walk across that bridge, decide what you're carrying before you go through the door. And the bridge is already built, right? So, however, if your heart chakra is wounded, you're stuck in grief, jealousy, you're holding grudges, you literally sit like this versus like that, your heart's been broken, you've got some work to do there. Your bridge might be a little wobbly, but it's still a bridge, okay? And as you're maybe repairing your bridge, really doing a lot of self-love practices, forgiveness practices, compassion practices to boost and shore up the planks as you're walking across your bridge, do those things. The only question left is, like I said, what are you going to carry across it? Because your attention goes where your energy flows. And where energy flows, reality begins to reorganize itself around it. So we are living through some really extraordinary times. And I'm sure if you're even older than I am, you have the same thing to say about the generation before you and before you and before you, right? Everybody knows they're living through extraordinary times when they're experiencing them. But I really do believe this is a really extraordinary time. So whether Barbault's basket becomes remembered as the defining astrological moment or simply just another fascinating chapter in humanity's story, the future isn't something that's happening to us, it's happening for us. It's something we're helping create, and we are collectively creating a new reality with a higher vibration, or collectively creating a new reality with a very low vibration. Conscious choice, courageous choices and conversations taking your action and grounding it into your foundation, and just taking one open hearted step across your bridge at a time. That's how you get to a new reality, really. So I hope this was helpful. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you, which is what I do, especially when I've been away. So some of this might have been like word salad. I don't even think I'm going to edit this. And that's my choice. That's okay too, right? So sometimes I get a little too caught up in removing some of my mistakes, but I just want to get this out today. So I'm just going to leave them in. Um, and hey, that's another thing, right? Mistakes we make don't necessarily go away. They can either hold us back or they can be stepping stone on which we grow. So nobody's asking us to be perfect. I hope you know that. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. I'm not perfect. And the times we're in are far from perfect. But we have an opportunity to make them as beautiful and as perfect for ourselves as we'd like to. And with that, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Wherever you're listening or watching this, could you please share it with someone? Leave a comment, okay? I really will answer you back. So thanks again and have a wonderful Monday. Thanks for listening to The Real and the Woo. And until next time, you've got this and I've got you. All right, bye.